Hello, Kinsale Community School, and thank you so much for this opportunity to participate, albeit virtually, in your day of professional learning. It's an absolute pleasure for me, a real privilege, and I do hope that in future we have an opportunity to exchange ideas in a way that's a little bit more participatory, a little bit more interactive. And my name is Michelle Shear-Hagerman. I work at the University of Ottawa, where I'm a member of CHENINE, an interdisciplinary bilingual research collaboratory located here in Canada, focused on change, engagement, and innovation in education. We're a relatively new research group, but we have Dr. Andy Hargreaves, with whom I know you've worked in the past, to thank for leading my colleagues and me in the curation of the ideas that I'll share with you today in my video presentation. In the spring of last year, Andy reached out to some of us who've been working on a range of questions and problems in education, issues such as social justice, accessibility and inclusion, citizenship, digital literacies, online teaching, community-centered and linguistically responsive approaches to education. And he asked us to begin thinking together about the priorities that would matter most for post-pandemic policies and school reforms. We could all see that the emergency pivot to online instruction globally had revealed a lot of problems and concerns in education, and over several meetings, both online and socially distanced in backyards, here we are in October in the cold, we began to articulate a set of principles that have now become the CHENINE Charter, a set of 10 points that we believe are critically important for the framing of the future of education post-COVID. A future that includes digital technologies, but in ways that are socially just, universally accessible, and humanizing. I'm going to share the 10 points with you so that you can see the scope of our thinking and the ways that these ideas connect together. But then I'm going to circle back to elaborate on 4 points of synergy between the work that we're doing and the work that I've come to know from your leadership team that are your priorities as well. So here are the 10 points of the CHENINE Charter. First, you can see that we emphasize the primacy of physical schools and teaching. Secondly, we believe that educational technologies can enrich good teaching, but cannot replace or make up for poor teaching. Third, we call for universal, free, and public access to educational technology. Fourth, we believe that tech should be used when it offers a unique value proposition. And fifth, that innovation should be disciplined. Sixth, we call for strategies at scale that address concerns and risks such as excess screen time. Seventh, we think that tech integration in schools should be inclusive and foster understanding and collaboration across cultures, identities, and languages. Eighth, we assert that EdTech should value, include, and enrich teachers' professional judgment. And we also call on EdTech companies to pay fair corporate taxes. And finally, we assert, given the ubiquity of digital systems, that these technologies should aim to improve society. So let's circle back. Let's return to that first principle. We have learned that online schooling situated in the home cannot replace our bricks and mortar schools. And there are a lot of reasons for that. Most children and families need physical schools with in-person teaching and learning, in part because parents need to go to work, but also schools enable students to develop a sense of belonging and to develop relationships. Physical schools also promote equity of access. There are significant divides of access to high-speed connections, to devices, and, of course, to the digital skills and dispositions needed to use various technologies, and that when applied, enable students to show evidence of their learning. The in-person supports that can flatten these inequalities have been disrupted, but they must be recognized as essential for education futures. And let's not forget that teaching is an emotional practice. In school, certified professionals like you can know and respond to their diverse students as whole human beings with distinctive talents and needs. Online, we will always struggle to engage with this vital aspect of our work. Nell Noddings has taught us that the ethic of care is central to the practice of teaching. In physical schools, the design and provision of this care can happen around a screen, but it's not mitigated by a screen. So an important question is, what can this ethic of care look like now? What practices are we able to adopt as we navigate this, sometimes in school, sometimes out of school pattern of life that's framed by case counts in our communities? Well, here are a few ideas. In the spring, I spoke with one teacher as part of a research study that I'm involved with, who was working in a small remote community in Northern Ontario. She was driving to her students' homes to drop off small but meaningful prizes to encourage them and to let them know that she was thinking of them. Now, this is totally above and beyond, to be clear, but it did get me wondering whether things like personal emails with a kind word or taking a little extra time to provide affirming and constructive feedback on an assignment might provide similar encouragements and let our students know that we see them and that we care about them. And I suggest that this care work should be valued and prioritized by systems of schooling as much as lesson planning right now. What if we reduced academic expectations, planned fewer lessons, and used that planning time to connect our learners to the things that they needed, to connect our learners to the supports that they need? Or what if we had a little bit more time to create more predictable structures for our students? Clear routines consistently applied across face-to-face and online classroom contexts do seem to create a sense of predictability, confidence, and calm for all concerned. And this is a strategic design decision that reflects good teaching. And it brings us to that second point, that digital tools can enrich good teaching, but they really cannot make up for poor teaching. Even when we return to mostly face-to-face instruction with hybrid use of digital tools to supplement, enrich, and extend our in-person learning post-COVID, we mustn't forget that educators are the most important educational technologies in the room, whether that classroom is situated online or in the school building. Learning is not uniquely situated in a digital tool. Rather, learning is situated in the interactions and activities that we as educators design. Good teaching prepares learners for what's coming. It involves critical, creative, and discursive approaches that enable them to build on what they know, to notice and construct new understandings, new connections. Good instruction also places learners in conversation, in debate. It invites analysis, synthesis, description, reflection, remix, storytelling. Digital tools can support these good teaching methods, but they rarely, if ever, cause learning. Which takes me to the next point, where I believe you are so well positioned to leave because you are a Microsoft Showcase school. At CHENINE, we assert that technology use should be evidence-informed, inquiry-driven, and impact-assessed, and that the voices of teachers and students must be central to such inquiry. The design and development of the digital technologies used in systems of schooling have been led by corporations. And we're calling for a new paradigm of collaborative development that rejects unfounded assumptions about what has the potential to work for teachers and learners, and instead prioritizes the questions, needs, knowledges, and experiences of teachers and students as primary design drivers. Because let's be clear, the designed intentions of a technology may differ drastically from its impacts in educational contexts. So this is a screenshot of my 9-year-old daughter's Gmail inbox, taken last spring when, like so many other families, we were struggling to help her engage with online learning, to help her keep up to all of the things that were being assigned. Seeing this wall of tasks to do, she just disengaged. It was overwhelming for her. Was she informed of what she needed to do? Oh, definitely. But the impact of this design for providing the updates that she needed, it was devastating. So let's require our tech partners to do better. Our experiences and the voices and the interests of our learners matter. Which takes me to the final point of elaboration, which is that educational technology should be designed and used in ways that are inclusive. We need digital technologies that amplify the beautiful diversities that unify us in our humanity. As we plan to use digital tools to gather evidence of learning, the principles of universal design are essential. When our assessments invite learners to express their ideas and to tell their stories using multiple modalities, using words, images, graphic elements, video, every learner can benefit. So as you design your assessments, maybe you can ask yourself, am I assessing for meaning? Does my assessment strategy ensure that students can express the right answers in a variety of ways, or even explore a variety of right answers? Am I connecting to social realities? Are deadlines flexible to accommodate the multiple realities of my students' lives? Do assessments connect learners to ideas and experiences of value to them and to their communities? Am I leveraging multiple modes of engagement, representation, action, and expression in my online assessments? Do students have choices? To conclude, although we are navigating dynamic realities in a context of extraordinary hardship for so many people, we do have an opportunity in education right now to ensure that the priorities that take hold in our systems of schooling center human connection that is supported by technologies, but not led by them. What matters are the humanizing actions that we each take. And that may be the most important lesson of this time. Again, I'd like to thank you, and especially thank your senior administrative team, Fergal McCarthy, Kathleen O'Brien, Claire Sheehan, and Jer Hogan, for the conversation last week that set all of this in motion. From Ottawa, I send you all my most sincere wishes for good health and meaningful connection, no matter the modality.